Coming off the heels of the Dream Star Grand Prix, we have some breaking news here in Marigold, and I am here to cover it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. You may have saw my post the other day where I said I'd come back with a video in time dealing with sickness, but I felt good enough to do this. We have breaking news audio here as Mirai has announced that she will officially be leaving Marigold on October 13th. That will be her final match in the promotion. This is major, major news and news that I am here to discuss. I don't want to let you guys down. I know the podcast is in its changing mode, but I am here to talk all about it. So thank you everyone for joining me here on the channel. Let's talk about it. Obviously, a massive, massive story for both Marigold and the Joshi scene. Mirai, an original member of the Marigold roster, of course, has also been a member of TJPW and Stardom prior in her career. She is now looking for her next home, whatever that may be, as she exits the promotion. She announced this at the Shinkiba First Ring event on Saturday, the 20th, to kick off the Battle Heart Tour for Marigold. It came after the wonderful tag team match between her and Utami and Mikuano and Mai Sakurai. There's a lot to discuss here. There's a lot to dissect here, and most of it just happens to be about Mirai herself. But this is a new thing I want to do. I want to bring breaking news audio to all of you. And I think right now, to me, the place we start is simply with the fact that she is on her way out. This is a massive deal because not only was she arguably the MVP of Marigold in its very first year, but she is someone that many, many believed would be a future Marigold world champion. Uh, it's a massive blow. There's no lying about that. Now I'm not going to sit here and say, Marigold's in trouble because I don't think that's the case. But it's still a massive loss. This is someone who has been up and down this promotion in every which way, whether it be tag team, whether it be challenging for the top belt, whether it be a top wrestler in the promotion. In many ways, she embodied what an ace is. We talked about it earlier this year when she stepped up to Tommy Hayashishita at Shine Forever, right? That match felt as big as possible. It was the top two stars at the time in Marigold facing off, right? The top two stars of that first year signed to that promotion. And now she finds herself on her way out of the promotion. We will talk Marigold's side as well, but let's talk about Mirai's time in Marigold and kind of try to figure out what might be next. Of course, Mirai's feud with Mikuano was one of the grand highlights of year one in Marigold. What they created together in those series of matches leading to the United National Championship crowning was nothing short of incredible. She is someone who was heavily pushed in her time with Stardom, right? Not one, but two Cinderella tournament wins. She also won the Wonder of Stardom Championship. So when she stepped into Marigold, when she made the jump, it was a big deal. It was someone who was proven, it was someone who was established, it was a, main event ready level talent. And she continuously lifted up her game and others' games throughout her time in the promotion. None better than, of course, what the feud with Mikuano not only did for herself, but for Aono, helped make her familiarized with fans that may not have been watching her in her prior stops. That was the feud, and for many, the feud of Marigold's history. And of course, it now comes to an end, feeling almost incomplete in many ways. And now This is to say we don't know what Mirai's next step is. I'll try and talk what is that next step. I don't know if there's really a clear avenue for her. It could be as simple as maybe wanting to just freelance and be her own. We don't know, but we'll talk about that here in a second. Let's continue going through what her time was in the promotion. She, of course, would win and become the first twin star champions alongside Mai Sakurai. Mirai Saku was a great highlight in the second half of 2024 for Marigold. They were fantastic. They were fighting champions and they helped establish the twin star belts that for much of Marigold's run have been true highlights of the promotion. You don't establish those, you don't make them what they are without Mirai. And I think that's again an important aspect of this. And to further that up, Mirai did a lot behind the scenes, as we know. Her connection with Yuki Yamazaki has really shown that, right? And the training side, helping coach, whatever it may be, she was a massive part of this promotion from day one. And her exit now leaves a hole that, of course, was started by, the exit of Nanae Takahashi. Now, of course, Mayu Iwatani came in at the time Nanae was retiring, so that helped even that out. But as we head towards not final, Grand Destiny 2025, there's a world where now Mirai will no longer be on that show, as many expected. You continued through her time, of course, her rivalry with Mai Sakurai and the emotional match that they had in the Dream Star Grand Prix this year. I remember saying it was an interesting reaction between the two. There were tears, there were emotions as Mirai lost to Mai Sakurai. And you look at of course, the booking of her tournament and the questions that come with that, right? So many non-finishes and draws and such, and it makes you think now that we are here and now that she is exiting. There are so many highlights to Mirai's time in Marigold, whether it just be tag team action on a house show, whether it be her helping the young wrestlers, whether it be her stepping up into big matches. Like I said, I think it's undeniable that the first year she really took over and tried to be that MVP each and every show, never really missing a show and always performing in one of those top 2 matches. She was the debut opponent in Marigold, of course, for Chiaki, who was stepping into a professional wrestling ring. Truly, I know actress girls and such, but that was a big deal, right? That was a big deal. She, of course, also continued and was the debut opponent for Kamomo Minami. She was the debut opponent for Yuka Yamazaki. She was someone that was really connected to that youth, a young Marigold that has been, of course, the highlight of this promotion, and none bigger than, of course, being the debut opponent for Seiri Yamaoka. We saw that earlier this year at First Stream, what that match was, what that match was made to be, right? The 15-minute draw leading into overtime where Mirai, of course, gets the win, but it's a massive feather in the cap for the super rookie. Mirai was trusted in these big matches for these rookies, right? In these debut matches, you only get one debut match, and so many times Mirai was that opponent. There is something about losing that type of wrestler. There is something about losing that type of personality in the room that I think is a topic of conversation. I think Mirai and Marigold were a perfect connection, quite frankly. I thought that those two made a lot of sense, and I always thought that Mirai was going to be the next world champion after Miku Ano. And that's really where this conversation goes. So, of course, as I said, after the tag team match at Shinkiba First Ring here on the 20th, she announced her departure, shocking the world, shocking everyone. And, it just comes off as it's her decision. It's a decision she wants to make. It's a decision that, based on her history, isn't all that surprising. Only because she's always changed promotions after a few years. There is something about maybe certain wrestlers, they want to adventure, they want to try new things, and for Mirai, maybe that is as simple as it gets. We don't know, and we may never know the truth or why this is her choice. Maybe she just wants to freelance. Maybe she wants to join another promotion. Maybe she wants to go international. Whatever it may be, as a fan of hers, as a fan of Marigold, I wish her the absolute best, and I will be following wherever she goes. We will be doing that right here on this channel and other platforms. For me, for what I hope from Mirai, I think the perfect world is a freelance type schedule for her. A perfect world for Mirai is getting to wrestle in Sendai Girls, getting to wrestle in Marvelous, getting to wrestle in Wave, like all these random places. There's so many freelancers on the scene. Obviously, you have Sari, but there's others. It's not just Sari. There's many others. Miyuki Takase, up until very recently, you know, joined Sendai Girls, but for a number of years, a freelancer. Mayu Kihi, Risa Sarah, Hiroyo Matsumoto, like all these wrestlers, are freelancers and they make a great career out of it. And there's no reason I think Mirai can't do the same. I think there is an opportunity for her to do so many different things, maybe as a freelancer. She seems like someone who likes to try these new things, likes to do these different things. And maybe, who knows, maybe someday she'll come back around to Marigold. Based on the comments, she doesn't seem locked in on anything. They asked her in her post-match comments, "What's next? Are you freelancing?" She says she has various options on the table and she's making decisions. Whatever that decision may be, I will support her because I've long been a fan of hers. I've been a fan of hers, of course. I was always rooting for her, clapping along in Stardom, and I am a fan of hers now. On the Marigold end of things here, this is a very big deal. This is the continuation of the original 7. It's now down to just 4. It is Utami Hayashishita, Mai Sakurai, Victoria Yuzuki, and now Ishikawa. Those are the original 4 from that original announced roster. Of course, by the time the first show started, the actress girls joined. But out of that original 7, 3 are now gone. Of course, Julia in 2024, and Ai Takahashi retiring earlier this year, and now Mirai exiting the promotion. It's a big talking point. It's a big conversation point, not one that I'm going to sit here and say, "Oh, they're in deep trouble." They're not. They're not. It's a promotion that I very much believe in because they have such a bright future, right? You have the Victoria Zukis who are stepping up and ready for the next step. You have the Suriyami Okas, the super rookie. You have Shino coming down the pipeline. You have the Tachibanas and the Kimono Manamis who are really shining. You have Shino, who, did I already say Shino? Yeah, I did. You have Yuka Yamazaki, who I think is a really bright, exciting prospect. Kazuna Tanaka. Like, you have such a bright future. So it's not doom and gloom, but there is still a conversation to be had that Mirai being gone is a notable change. It is a notable difference, and it's a big difference. She is someone who always lifted up a show within her matches. She is someone that always brought it in her matches. This is what happens with wrestling promotions, right? Change always happens. And at the end of the day, while out of the original 7, only 4 left, yeah, they got Mayu Iwatani. That helps a lot too. Um, They have brought in the likes of Arina Yamanaka and Chen Yoda as freelancers, Flying Penguin when they're in Osaka. I think the continuation of building from the ground up, building the future, that is number 1 to me what they should 100% continue to do, because that is what the future of the promotion is homegrown superstars, right? There are legitimate top of the line main event level stars in their rookie class and so on. I'm not worried about that. They have the ability to develop. But the idea of maybe bringing in a new freelancer on a more full-time basis, like a Nozaki, I think that's a consideration to be made. There are so many freelancers out there. And then maybe, you never know, the idea of signing someone when becomes available. There is a very clear opening here. Now that Mirai is on her way out, October 13th at Korakuen Hall will be her final match in the promotion as of right now. She will team with Mai Sakurai to take on Nagisa Nozaki and Chiaki. For those who don't know, that is a big deal. That match was the match where they lost the Twin Star Championships to them last year. So there is a factor there. Her teaming with Mai Sakurai to say farewell, I think is a very nice touch. But it goes without saying, this is a big deal. It goes without saying, this is something that's going to need to be discussed moving forward. Again, I'm excited for Grand Destiny. I'm excited for Marigold's future. I'm not worried, but I do think there is now a hole to be focused on. It could be someone stepping up and taking over that role, right? Taking that main spot, whether it be being able to wrestle for the UN, wrestle for the world title, wrestle for the tag belts, be someone who can be the debut opponent for rookies. It's a big spot to be filled. It can come from inside the promotion. Victoria Zuki very well could be the one to just step into that spot, right? She's already challenging for the United National title. But also, at the same time, there's always the opportunity to maybe bring someone new in. We don't want to rule any of these out. And I think those are all things to consider moving forward when it comes to Marigold, when it comes to this promotion. And it's something that I will be heavily focusing on moving forward to see who steps up, who's ready to step up for this promotion now that Mariah's on her way out. But I want to finish this video by just applauding Mariah and everything she put into Marigold here. Like I said, I firmly believe that if she wasn't leaving, she'd be the world champion after Mikuano. The story was there. The story wrote itself. Finally overcoming her to win the world title felt like a story that was inevitable. And hey, maybe Mikuano doesn't even win the world title at Grand Destiny. Again, I don't know, but she feels like she should, and Mirai felt like that person that could be next after her. It's a fascinating reality. It's a fascinating future for both Mirai and Marigold. I think an interesting topic point I've seen from people is again, like I said earlier, they felt like a perfect match. They felt perfect for one another, but things happen, people come and go, and this is the case of that. So whatever Mirai does, whatever she picks, wherever she goes, I'm going to root her on, and I hope you do too. I hope you follow her much like I will. She's a star. She's a fantastic professional wrestler. She's a student of the game. She is someone that is always learning, always developing, and she's going to do great things when she takes her exit from this promotion. And for Marigold, it's all about who steps up once again. This promotion, despite being brand new, has had a many occasions of waiting and watching for someone to step up. You really saw it in the Dream Star already. There's an argument to be had that we already saw it. Mirai didn't have her best tournament. There was many times throughout that review series that I said to myself, This wasn't her best tournament. This wasn't her best run, but you saw the likes of Eizuki step up, right? And I think that's just the talking points moving forward. This promotion is going to be fine. Mirai's going to be fine. It's going to be very interesting to follow both. I believe that. And that's why you come here to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/at Scott E Wrestling. That is what we were doing here. Just to let everyone know, we are working on a podcast feed that will be out sometime next week or the week after for anyone that likes to listen to these reviews that I'll have coming up. Those will be posted on there very, very soon. But this is a version ultimately of the 5-star Joshi show. This is how the show will be moving forward in many different ways with breaking news and many other things. So please, please, please stay tuned to this channel. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Press that like button. Leave a comment. What are your thoughts on Mirai's official exit from Marigold in terms of what's next for Mirai? What's next from Marigold? Who do you think should step up for Marigold? Who do you think maybe, they should bring in? These are the questions I'm asking you. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So leave a comment below. Please, 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 please. But with that, I bid you adieu. We'll be back next week with plenty more content as my sickness gets fully gone. But had to do this. So thank you everyone for listening. Thank you everyone for joining me. And until next time, everyone, so long. See you later. Enjoy Joshi Wrestling. Bye bye.